Alright, what's up guys? Hopefully things are balanced. I tried to get them as balanced as I could before I started. This is Overfiend. I'm going to be doing a Super Metroid any percent speedrun. Gonna be trying my best to commentate what I'm doing as I'm going through it. Might be a bit hard for me because I'm not used to that, but I'll see what I can do. Let's see. Alright. Thanks, Spec. Starting in 3, 2, 1, blast off. Thank you, thank you. So, it's a Super Metroid any percent, which basically means going through the game without doing anything too crazy or too broken, defeating all the bosses, including Mother Brain, and piecing the hell out as the planet explodes. So this is Sari's Station, which every full game category starts on. Just go to the end and wait here for Ridley to appear. And you can either shoot him 100 times to make him fly away, or just get your health low enough to where he'll fly away on his own. And obviously just damaging yourself is a lot faster. And now we get to leave. So if some of you are familiar with this game, you might know that the route for a while, and is the route for most people who casually play this game, takes out Kraid first, followed by Fantoon, then Dragon, then Ridley. I'm actually going to go to Fantoon first, and the main reason for that is because Fantoon guards the gravity suit, which so like an interesting thing about suits in this game is that Gravity Suit basically does what Various Suit does, and then some. Like, whereas Various Suit reduces damage by 50% and gives you heat protection, Gravity Suit reduces it by 75% and also gives you free water movement on top of heat protection and lava protection. So it's interesting that, like, we grip the Gravity Suit first in like an optimal route because the Gravity Suit just does what Various Suit does and more. Like, they didn't separate some of the properties out. So that's why, like, optimally we go get the Gravity Suit first. Now, one thing you might have seen me did there is what's called a moonfall in the tall room. Basically how that works is, if I moonwalk backwards and then spin jump out of the moonwalk, it removes the cap on Samus's falling speed. So it basically makes me fall super duper fast in tall enough rooms. And it saves time in any room that's tall enough for, like, moonfall to make sense in. Alright, so now we got our morphing ball and our first pack of missiles, we can go back up the elevator. So what you saw there is a funny thing where, like, if you're only partially touching the elevator pad, each up input has a 50% chance of failing. So I just failed. Like, the game just made me fail going up the elevator about 8 times in a row there. It's a funny little quirk. So because we got our items, we have now alerted the planet to our presence. So now these rooms are filled with pirates that died at one shot. It's like it's LTK on the planet. At least so far. I want to make sure we're full health before we fight the first mini-boss of the game, so that we can guarantee that we get missile drops from the eggs it shoots out. Because if we are not at full health, then the game will try to drop us health too, along with missiles, and that's can be very, very bad against this boss right here. So in a tool-assisted speedrun, they actually are able to get out of this room. They can like move fast enough to leave as this door is locking, but unfortunately we humans are too slow, so we have to stay in here and fight this mini-boss. Cool thing about this mini-boss is if you do damage in increments of 100, you skip this phase where it decapitates its head, which wastes about a second. So you didn't get to see it there because I skipped that phase. It's a little time saver though, if you can damage it at the right frequency. And this is a trick called Alcatraz, where you go back up through that tunnel by wall jumping and morphing fast enough. Alright, this is our first energy tank. It gives us 100 extra units of energy. We'll be picking up about 3 more throughout the run. You need at least 3 tanks to complete the run. And I'll be getting a 4th just for safety since it's a marathon. If this was like a super serious run, I wouldn't, but it's definitely worth the extra fanfare time. Like every time you grab an item, there's about a 7-second fanfare that happens. So it's in terms of like surviving a marathon, it's a very small time investment just eating that fanfare that happens. Now here we're going to get a super missile pack. You're actually not supposed to be able to do this. The game actually intends for you to fight a mini-boss called Spore Spawn. But you can totally skip that encounter by doing what's known as a mothball, where basically if you morph as you connect with the surface, like it's complicated, but basically if you like get run speed and then morph at the right time, you can maintain running speed during your rolling, and that lets you effectively skip Spore Spawn by being able to move past those gates as they're closing and get that super missile pack. Now below this missile pack we're going to grab Charge Beam, the first beam upgrade, which basically if we hold the fire button, then after 60 frames or 1 second of gameplay, the beam will charge, and that triples its damage. It also lets you perform some pretty interesting things too, that you'll see later on. Now we're going to charge the beam up, kill that guy, shoot that switch, kill this guy too. Didn't drop anything, but that's fine. Charge the beam up, kill this one too, get a super, get another super, and open that green door with the super. So green doors you can only open with super missiles, and red doors you can open with either 5 missiles or 1 super. This is a pretty big sequence break. You're not supposed to be able to wall jump. You know, as far as we know, the developers didn't intend for you to be able to wall jump up that shaft like that. But this is how we get up here so that we can visit the wrecked ship and our boy Fantoon. Now, this is the first power bomb pack. Again, we're not supposed to be able to get these before various suit, you know, this early on in the game. But that red tower sequence break is pretty big. We're gonna drop one here to kill these two Cacatacs and also open that door so that when we come back through here, it'll be open. And we don't want to like stop and open it. Like when you open things, when you open colored doors with a respective item, they won't be that color when you come back. So we're gonna do the same thing here. As I enter this room, I'm gonna drop a power bomb, so this shell is also open on the way back. And now we're gonna attempt to cross the moat to get the Phantoon, which is gonna involve a really precise trick called a continuous wall jump. That was not a first frame jump. Basically, I have to jump towards this beam on 1 frame, and then perform a 2-frame wall jump off of it. There we go. So yeah, since this is a 60 FPS game, doing a 1-frame jump into a 2-frame wall jump off that beam is not easy, but that didn't take too long. I usually lose a bit more time than that. So, important things we're past it. So, we're about to encounter the first boss of the game. We're supposed to encounter this boss with another suit protecting us and a lot more items. So it's a bit scary, especially in a marathon, to come at this boss with no suits protecting you and only 1 energy tank. But we should be able to get through it. That was good. Good first round. Wow. Okay, well that was a fast 2 round. That was basically the fastest I could have done that fight. Explain what I mean by that. Phantoon can open at either a fast, a mid, or a slow speed. What you saw was him opening twice at the fastest possible speed. He could, if he wanted to, decide to take 5 or even 10 seconds longer per round to open up. He actually has a 50% chance on the first round specifically to open up at a slow speed, so what just happened there was like basically like less than a 10% chance of happening. And the fact that I was able to get the 2 round off like that was also very fortunate, because I'm not super consistent at the 2 round. I'm pretty good at it, but yeah. Considering this is a marathon, for that to happen, that's definitely unexpected. So yeah, now that Phantoon's dead, he's the lore explanation is that the power is returned to the wrecked ship. So now we can access all these areas, which are now filled with enemies. And eventually claim our prize for defeating the boss. Once we find it, that is. Having 9 super missiles at this point is also really good. So you can see those blocks above me. Again, there's so much here that you're intended to have that we don't at this point because we're sequence breaking all over the place. You're supposed to have what's known as a grapple beam, so you can connect those plus sign blocks above and get past the spikes. But if you know what you're doing, you can instead just boost through the spikes and get through with only 2 hits and make it to the statue, which will carry you down the stairs through the spikes into this room, which finally we will see the awesome purple gravity suit. And again, it's called the gravity suit because it lets us move freely in water. Kind of sort of freely in lava too. It makes it so that we don't take damage from lava, which is nice. The Various suit doesn't do that. And also, we are now taking 75% less damage from the environment. So like, whereas before I was taking 40 damage from Fantoon, I would only take 10 now if I fought him with the suit. Yeah, sorry, I can't change the, Yo, what's up, Clemens? It's funny you'd see that fast 0. So yeah, now this door is blue instead of orange because we dropped a power bomb before. Now we can deboost back. I guess I'll explain deboosting. So basically, if you take damage from something and then hold the jump button and the opposite direction as you take damage from it, you will fly the opposite facing direction. Off of spikes, it's a 10 frame window, but off of enemies, it's only a 5 frame window. So, yeah, it can be a bit tricky off of enemies. Off of spikes, it's pretty simple, but yeah, that's basically how that works. So now this is the second beam upgrade, Phaser Beam. Basically adds 66% more damage to our beam and also makes it a lot wider. So it's basically like a big DPS upgrade at this point in the game to have this beam. I'm gonna break open this tube for later. And now we're gonna head down to Norfair. Not gonna visit Cray just yet. Norfair is kind of like a bit of downtime, like a bit of a stress relief before you go further down into Norfair. Grabbing another energy tank. We're now at 299 health. And grabbing the high jump boots, which effectively doubles our jump height. Gonna go through this tunnel and then drop a PB here because that enemy needs to die before this door will open up. I'm gonna farm a bit here, hoping for some ammo. Got some missiles, so ammo's looking pretty good at this point. Thanks, Yogurt. That was another sequence break too. Another mock ball to get past gates, kind of like how we got to early supers. Got a super missile there, it's nice. And we got another beam upgrade, the Ice Beam, which it's not obvious by its name, lets us freeze enemies once we deal enough damage to them. Also lets us use them as platforms, such as there, and also right here we can do it too. So if we connect those platforms together, we can get enough run speed so where this mock ball lets us pass that gate. You need enough run speed to be able to do that, because that gate shuts pretty quick. I accidentally fat fingered the jump button there. Gonna wait on these enemies. The small enemies deal less damage than those big enemies did, so that's why I wanted to wait. It's not really a big deal to take damage at this point because we're gonna farm soon. It's more important in other categories to do that actually, but that's why I habitually do that, is because the smaller enemies deal less damage. So So yeah, as you can see, this upper Norfair section is just a lot of item collecting. Things will get pretty intense here soon. Alright, so we're gonna farm a bit here. We have 6 supers, so we shouldn't need to farm for long. Okay, that's good enough. Alright, this is the 4th and final missile upgrade of the game. So now we have 20 missiles and 10 supers. At least if we were full, that's how much we would have. This is also the last beam upgrade of the game. The wave beam, it adds a bit more damage. Pretty much all the beam upgrades except for charge add more damage, and charge in a way adds more damage because charging your beam gives it more damage. The wave beam basically lets the beam go through objects, like the terrain and whatnot, not through enemies. There's another beam upgrade, plasma beam, that does that, but the wave beam just lets it go through like the environment. Like there, you can see that it went through that that ground and hit that face. Same thing there, kind of. That's gonna be a little bit too low, isn't it? Yeah. I was trying to set up a damage boost off of that orb as I went to the pull, so that it would put me in this spot to do this trick known as a gravity jump, which, hopefully I get it. Okay. Basically, if you do a jump as you pause the game and take off gravity suit, then it like applies, it's hard to explain, but it applies like physics from the jump with physics of the liquid and lets you do this big underwater jump, as you saw there, and that's how I entered Lower Norfair. You can enter Lower Norfair instead by doing what's known as Lava Spark, which is where you shine spark up instead, and it's a bit faster, but it's also a bit riskier if you fail it, so I just went with what's safe, and also saved the game because this is a marathon, and this section of the game is quite hectic. Hopefully I can get this. Okay. Short charging when you're a bit nervous is a little bit difficult. So use the power bomb there to give us invulnerability from those enemies, so that we can wall jump. It's pretty tight, but we can wall jump up that shaft and keep making our way through this Lower Norfair. Gonna hopefully get a short charge here. Alright, we did. Hopefully gonna get this spark charge. Alright, so that kills these 2 cannons. You might have seen there's these echoes, they're called, that came out of Samus at the end of that Shine Spark. Those deal a crap ton of damage, and they killed those key hunters. And the reason for that is not only because you could get the items that they drop, but it also reduces a lot of lag in that room. And the lag they cause onto the power bombs is tremendous, so it saves a lot of time on lag to do that. It's kind of like the looking down in that room. We're gonna do the same thing here with these Shine Spark Echoes to kill these pirates. Otherwise, we'd have to take them out with super missiles, and we want super missiles for a boss coming up. Speaking of which, I got 10, which is really good. Gotta use one here to take out this eye door. That's a good start. So the reason we want super missiles in this fight is because this boss, Ridley, which was back on Ceres Station, he takes 60 charge shots, 60 of these charge shots. And a super missile is effectively 2 charge shots. They actually deal double damage to this boss. They normally are effectively 1 of these charge shots, but Ridley has a weakness to them, which is very nice. And that's his enrage phase. And he started swooping. Got about 18 shots left, 17, 16, 15, 13, 12. He's probably dead. Yeah. So there I jumped at a specific time during his pogo. That basically tells him to die right there. It's a little bit risky, because if you mistime it, then he takes you for a ride and probably deals a ton of damage to you. But if you're confident that you did the right amount of damage to him, like basically when he hits 0 health, he doesn't die. He takes some time through his like AI script to then die, but you can force him to die if you know he's at 0 health by jumping into his claws at the right time. Yeah, just grabbing that energy tank for safety. Grabbing some power bombs too, while we book it out of here. So right there, that power bomb damaged the enemy so that I could pass through them with invulnerability. And then I took a hit from one of them to get invulnerability to get a short charge, which let me then use the blue effect of the speed booster to break the block, which saves about 4 seconds, as opposed to like running forward and then blowing it up with bombs. So these are known as the Three Musketeers. I perform a bit of specific movement in order to set up a damageless segment here. And there we go. No hits taken. That bomb, yeah, didn't hit. Wasn't in range. If you go the right speed through this room, you can set it up to where this orb down there will boost you onto that platform as you come out of the tunnel. And now we are back in Upper Norfair, and we are not going to be coming back here again. We are leaving. I jumped a bit high. Okay, I'm more fast enough to get under that safe station. Alright. So now we're going to go visit what should have been the first boss of this run, but is actually the third because of this route. And we're going to go get another suit upgrade. Now you might be wondering, based on what I explained previously, why are we getting the suit upgrade if the gravity suit does what it does and so much more? Well, that's because there's a attack at the end of the game, an unavoidable attack, that only this suit protects us from. For some reason, they made it so that only this suit and not the gravity suit will protect us from this attack. If we didn't have this suit, then we would have to grab 3 more energy tanks, which would be way slower. so it's just a lot faster to grab this suit as protection against it. And that's the first boss of the game. So that boss, if you play through this game normally, he actually is supposed to rise up out of the ground and do a lot more, do more, basically. But with the right timing of missiles and supers, you can kill him before he is able to rise out of the ground, which is known as the Kraid quick kill. And now, pretty similar story. We defeated our boss, got the item. Now we can get out of here and not look back. So only one area in the game left before we go to the final boss area, which is Meridia, which is the main reason why we have the gravity suit, is so that we can move freely in this watery area. That was the first frame jump through this door. Otherwise we would have clipped that ceiling at the beginning of the room and wasted a bit of time. Thanks, Flicker. It's going pretty well, actually. I mean, I'm making some mistakes because I'm trying to, like, explain everything that comes to my mind, but it's going pretty well overall. Alright, so this is another mini-boss coming up. Normally I would use an audio setup, but because I don't want it coming through my mic, I'm gonna try this setup instead. Okay. Alright. I thought that might have been a bit low on that X factor. Alright, fourth and final E-Tank. We don't need this E-Tank to beat the game with. We only need 3. I'm just grabbing it for safety. I'm also gonna grab a bit more ammo here, just to be safe. As insurance against the next boss. I did not grab very well there. That was a halfie. If your spark is high enough, like if my spark was a few pixels higher, I would have actually flown through this entire section. But yeah, it was too low. So I lost about 5 seconds there. Could do another moonfall there. And we are at yet another boss. In a way, it's kind of good to... I mean, I would have had plenty of health anyway, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to not full halfie, because that means I have full health, which basically just means I have even less chance of dying here. Not that death is really a threat, but... yeah. That was a decent opener. Okay. Pretty good kill. I used some supers there just to make sure I got this kill. I'll try to explain this when I have a moment. Basically, the gist of it is, Dragon's the one boss that actually takes damage from that shine sparking ability I was doing. And if you kill Dragon while a shine spark is happening, then you get what I had there, which is called a blue suit. Which basically gives you a one-time shine spark for you to use, and we of course use it to fly back through that room. That's the very simple explanation of what's going on in that boss fight. That purple sphere attack you saw me do is known as a charge beam combo, or a power bomb combo. The X factor, where if I charge the beam for 2 seconds while power bombs are selected, it will use a power bomb and produce 4 of those wave beam spheres. each deal 300 damage. So it makes the Botchwoon and Dragon fights a bit shorter by being able to do that and having them all connect onto them. Gonna farm a bit for ammo here. We need at least one super here to activate this gate on the other side, but you want more ammo for another area coming up. Because you need, at some point later on, you need a minimum amount of ammo to beat the game with. So you want to be set up in a position to where you're likely to get that ammo from the RNG. Speed booster, let us break through those. Coming back through the very beginning parts of the game. Doing the same thing here. I accidentally dropped my speed. That happens sometimes if you let go of certain inputs while in motion. Alright, so we got a bit of downtime now. So this statue guards the last area, and basically you have to defeat all 4 of these bosses for this area to unlock normally. So in the next area, we finally get to encounter Metroids. The game's called Super Metroid. You don't actually see any until the very last area, and they're just sort of like hanging out around acid. Yeah, I actually can't I can't see donations, so I can't read any if there's been any going on. But if there have been, then thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm sure the GoldenEye guys appreciate it too. So now we're gonna put back on Ice and Spazer so that we can freeze the Metroids coming up. They are basically, they're not unkillable, but you can't kill them with missiles and supers unless they're frozen. They just won't take damage, it'll bounce right off them. So yeah. And we had to take off Ice and Spazer earlier in order to perform those charge beam combos that I was doing on Botchwoon and Dragon, so that's why we took them off at Ridley. Alright, ammo's looking decent here. I'm gonna group these as well. Get them off with a regular bomb. And then stack them on top of each other. So basically we can kill multiples of them with the same amount of ammo and conserve ammo. Okay. The important thing about those rooms is getting through with 10 super missiles, which we had leaving the third room. If you have less than 10 super missiles, then you're basically losing time. Or if you're not losing time, then you're risking... your run gets a bit more tense, because the ammo plays a part after this section here. Alright, so that's what's known as a Metroid skip. You're actually supposed to have that Metroid basically attack you, and you can't do anything about it, and it drains all your energy away, and then you refill it, but you can skip that entire time-wasting sequence by just playing jump rope with it, like I did. And again, just to be safe, we're saving. It's extremely unlikely at this point that I need to save, but might as well. Okay, now we're gonna do this trick known as called a Zeb skip. If you skip through that first Zeb by taking damage and spinning through it, then the other ones don't spawn for some reason. It's like if you don't kill the first one, then the second one doesn't spawn. And if you don't kill the second one, then the third one, and so on and so forth. So if you skip past the first one, the other ones don't spawn. In a normal playthrough, you would need a lot more ammo to kill those Zebatites with, and then defeat the first phase of Mother Brain, this boss. So this boss takes 60 charge shots to kill. After the 46th, it's going to fire a red beam attack, which does at least an energy tank of damage, which is part of the reason why I have extra energy tank, is for that attack. Just in case it hits. Although I did save too, so I had like extra protection, but it's nice to have that extra energy tank in case it does touch you. Because if you only had 3 energy tanks, then your run would automatically be over if it hit you. You'll see pretty soon what I'm talking about. I actually wasn't counting, so I was kind of afraid of when that would be coming out. But yeah, you see that attack. Basically can't have it touch me. Should be dead, maybe? Alright. I want to make sure my health is below 400 before this beam hits me. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is why we got the Varia suit. It's because this attack without the Varia suit deals 600 damage instead of 300, so we would need... I would need 2 more energy tanks to survive that beam right now if it was to hit me and I didn't get the Varia suit. So basically, it's either do you get the Varia suit or do you get 3 more energy tanks to survive that beam. And obviously, getting the Varia suit is way less, costs way less time. So that's like the explanation behind why we get that suit, is because of that rainbow beam attack there. So that Metroid we were playing jump rope with earlier is now helping save us from Mother Brain. Oh yeah, I forgot saving animals is a thing. I'm just gonna assume we're not doing that, but I actually forgot that could have been a thing in this marathon. So yeah, now it's giving us back this health that Mother Brain stole from us. So now as a result of it dying, we get the ultimate beam upgrade, this hyper beam, which lets us basically stun lock this phase of Mother Brain. Alright, so that's the final boss down, and just like at the start of the game, we get to escape as everything is exploding around us. Since we got invulnerability from that, we can get past this pirate. Perform the last moonfall right there. And get this diagonal spark known as a Behemoth spark, because Behemoth was the one to popularize that diagonal spark there. Interesting. Usually you get hit before you reach that point. 43, 46. Pretty good with all the mistakes in Lower Norfair and the fact that I saved twice and grabbed more items and all that. If I had skipped all the safeties, that would have been a 42, so that's pretty good. Although I did get pretty lucky getting a fast Fantoon. Couldn't really have asked for a better Fantoon this run, so that was nice. Thanks, guys. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say. Just thank you to everyone who helped organize this marathon and let me do a run. Glad to be a part of it. Still got a bit more to come before the weekend is over for this marathon. So hopefully y'all can stick around and enjoy some more. After the credits roll, I'm going to pass it over to Sharpeye. I think he's doing... Actually, let me check what is next. I think it's a Diablo run by Sharpeye or something like that. Yeah, Diablo 3. It's pretty cool. Alright then. Okay, thanks again everybody for watching that run. Up next is Sharpeye with a Diablo 3 run.